The auction hall was loud, full of voices, flashing lights, and strange smells. Creatures from across the galaxy sat in high seats, watching the stage below. Some wore fine robes. Others had metal armor or glowing eyes. They were nobles, warlords, merchants, and leaders. They had come to buy, slaves. One by one, living beings were brought out in chains. Each was displayed, described, and sold to the highest bidder. Some were strong warriors. Some had rare talents. Others were beautiful. The crowd shouted bids, eager to buy something valuable. Then, everything grew quiet when the next one was brought out. She was small, thin, dirty, a human girl. Her long brown hair was tangled, her skin bruised, her arms shaking. She wore a dull gray dress that barely fit her. A tag hung around her neck, Lot 879. The auctioneer, a fat alien with 6 eyes, chuckled into his mic. And now, a human, broken, weak, can't even speak properly. No known powers. A waste, really. The crowd laughed. The girl didn't speak. She stared at the floor. Her eyes were dull, empty. Her hands trembled as she stood under the bright lights. She looked like she hadn't eaten in days. "Let's start the bidding at 1,000 credits," the auctioneer shouted. No one raised a hand. Silence. The auctioneer tried again. 800? 500? Come now, surely someone wants a servant or a test subject. Still, no hands. The alien clicked his tongue in annoyance. Fine. 200 credits. She's cheap. A throwaway. Someone coughed. Someone else whispered, "She won't last a week." "She's too broken," another said. "Worthless." The auctioneer sighed. "Very well. If no one, I'll take her." The voice was deep, cold, powerful. Everyone turned. A figure stood at the back of the hall, tall, broad-shouldered, covered in dark silver armor with a flowing black cloak. His face was hidden behind a helmet shaped like a wolf's head, but everyone knew who he was. The Alpha King, leader of the Volcari, ruler of the strongest warrior race in the galaxy, feared, respected, worshipped by his people, hated by his enemies. He had come in silence, no guards, no grand entrance, no announcement, and now he had spoken. "I'll take her," he repeated, louder this time. The auctioneer blinked. "Your Majesty, you want the human?" "She is mine now," the Alpha King said. The room was stunned. One noble whispered, "Why would he want her?" "She's broken," another said. "She's useless." But no one dared to challenge him. The auctioneer bowed quickly. Of course, Your Majesty. Lot 879 is yours." 2 guards stepped forward to move the girl, but the Alpha King raised a hand. "Do not touch her." They froze. He walked down the steps slowly, his boots heavy against the metal floor. Every eye in the room followed him. He stopped in front of the girl. She didn't look up. He knelt slightly to match her height. "What is your name?" he asked. She didn't answer. He waited. "I see. Then I'll give you one." Still, she said nothing. "I will not harm you," he said softly. "But I will not lie to you either. You are in pain. You are afraid. But I did not choose you because you are weak." She finally looked up, just for a moment. He saw her eyes. Not empty, not dead, just tired. He nodded, then turned to the auctioneer. "Prepare her. She leaves with me now." Back on the Volcari warship, everything was dark and silent. The ship was large, powerful, and full of deadly machines. But inside, it was clean and quiet. The girl sat on a soft bed, her eyes wide with fear. She didn't understand why she was there. She didn't know what the Alpha King wanted. She expected pain, orders, chains, but no one hurt her. A medical drone came and scanned her body. It healed her cuts and gave her a warm drink. A tall guard brought clean clothes and said only 2 words. From him. Later, a soft voice from the wall spoke. "You are safe. Rest now." She couldn't believe it. She didn't sleep. She sat, all night staring at the door, waiting for something bad. Nothing came. The next morning, the Alpha King entered her room. He had removed his helmet. His face was strong and serious, with gray eyes like frozen steel. A long scar ran across his jaw. He placed a small book on the table. "I want to understand your language," he said. "Teach me." The girl looked at the book, then at him. "Why?" she asked quietly. He didn't smile. He simply answered, "Because no one saw value in you. But I did." She frowned. "I'm not valuable." He shook his head. "They are blind. I am not." She stared at him, unsure if he was mocking her, but his voice was calm, honest. She touched the book. Her fingers trembled. "I forgot how to read," she whispered. "Then we will learn together," he said. He stood to leave, but before he left, he looked at her one more time and said, "You are not broken. You are only waiting to remember who you are." The Volcari warship flew through deep space, silent, cold, strong, like the people who built it. Inside, the girl sat in her room, still confused, still scared. She looked at the clean bed, the soft blanket, the warm light. She hadn't seen things like this in a long time. Maybe never. On the slaver ship, there had been only cold metal, dark corners, and pain. Now, she was safe. But why? Why had the Alpha King taken her? He could have bought anyone. Strong warriors, smart aliens. But he chose her, a broken human girl. Outside her room, 2 Volcari guards stood tall and still. They watched her door, but not in anger. They did not glare. They were just silent. The Volcari were a proud warrior race. They respected strength, not weakness, and yet none of them spoke badly about the human girl. Why? Because the one who chose her was the Alpha King, and when he chose something, no one questioned it. That day, she was called to the garden chamber. It was not what she expected. The room was full of green trees, colorful flowers, and soft wind. A fake sun glowed above. She hadn't seen real nature in years. He was there, sitting by a small pond, watching the water ripple. She stepped in quietly, unsure if she should speak. "You came," he said without turning. The guard said. "You asked for me?" she answered softly. He looked at her. His eyes were like stone, but not cold, just strong. Like he had seen many things and never looked away. "I wanted you to see this place," he said. "It reminds me of something old." She stepped closer. "You grow things here?" "Yes." "Why?" He stood and walked toward her. "Because everything that lives deserves a place to grow." She looked at the flowers, then at her hands. "I'm not sure I can grow anymore." "You can," he said simply. "But not all things grow the same way. Some take longer. Some need more care." She didn't know what to say. "Do you remember anything before the auction?" he asked. She hesitated. "A little. I was with others. Other humans. Then the slavers came. I tried to fight, but I couldn't stop them. I failed. They took everyone. Some were sold. Some never came back." The Alpha King nodded slowly. "You did not fail. You survived." She looked away. "I was weak." He stepped closer. "Do you know what strength is?" She shook her head. He pointed at her heart. "It's the part of you that still hopes, still stands, still asks questions, even when you're afraid. That is strength." She looked at him again. His words were strange, different. No one had spoken to her like this before. "Why did you choose me?" she asked quietly. He paused. The air felt still. "Because I saw something the others didn't," he said. "What did you see?" He stared into her eyes. A flame that refused to die. After that day, things began to change. Each morning, the same drone brought her food. Clean, warm, tasty. Not just to survive, but to heal. The book he gave her sat beside her bed. She opened it one night. She could barely read the words, but they felt familiar, like pieces of a life she had lost. One day, he brought a second book. "This one has pictures," he said. "We'll read it together." She didn't argue. She sat beside him and read one sentence at a time. He listened, repeating each word in his deep voice. When she made a mistake, he corrected her gently. Never angry, never loud. Each day they met, sometimes in the garden, sometimes in a quiet room with stars outside the window. He asked her to speak. She listened. Then one day she spoke without being asked. "I remember my name." He looked at her. "Tell me." She took a breath. I think I was called Lena. My sister called me that before she was taken." "Then that is your name," he said. She smiled a little. Just a small one. But it was real. The other Volcari began to notice her. They did not bow or speak softly around her, but they respected her space. When she passed, they nodded. When she sat beside their king, they did not question it. To them, the Alpha King was not just a ruler. He was the strongest of all Volcari, the undefeated, the Alpha. If he gave a broken girl a seat beside him, then she must not be weak. Some even began to call her the Flame. But not everyone was pleased. In secret, a few high-born Volcari whispered behind closed doors. "She is still human," one said. "They are weak." "She'll bring shame to the bloodline," another spat. But they dared not speak it out loud. Not yet. Not while the Alpha King still stood behind her. One night, Lena sat alone in her room. The stars outside her window sparkled like small fires. She touched the edge of the book and whispered, "Why me?" Then she remembered his words. "Because no one else saw the storm in your eyes." She didn't understand all of it, but for the first time in years, she wanted to. Lena sat near the window of her quiet room, watching the stars. They looked peaceful from here, so far away, so silent. But in her heart, she still felt noise, the noise of fear, memories, questions. She had a name again now, Lena. But was that really who she was? Could a name bring back all that was taken from her? The next morning, the Alpha King entered the garden room. He found her standing near a small tree, gently touching its leaves. "You are awake early?" he said. "I couldn't sleep," she replied. He walked closer. "Dreams?" She nodded. "I saw the cages again, the slavers, my sister." He said nothing at first. Then, "I see my past too. Sometimes it wakes me, sometimes it pushes me." She looked at him. "What do you do when it comes?" He answered without emotion. "I remember that I survived it, and that I am no longer that person." She didn't fully understand, but she wanted to. Later, a Volcari healer came to her room. She was female, tall and quiet. She gave Lena new clothes, soft, light, and calm blue colors. "You're not sick anymore," the healer said. "Your body is healing fast." "Thanks to your medicines," Lena replied. The healer nodded. "No, not just medicine. You had the will to heal. That is stronger." Lena slowly became part of the warship's daily life. She started walking through the halls, not just staying in her room. She watched the Volcari train in the combat bay, fierce, fast-focused. One of the young soldiers named Vekar noticed her watching. "Want to learn?" he asked. Lena blinked. "Learn to fight?" "Yes," he said. "Our king says you are not weak, so maybe you can stand." She hesitated, then nodded. "Yes, I want to stand." Training was hard. Her body was still weak. Her arms shook. Her legs gave out. She fell many times. But every time she got up, Vekar showed her how to block, how to move, how to breathe. He didn't speak much, but when she did something right, he nodded. That was enough. Other Volcari began to notice her. Training. No one laughed, no one mocked, because every time she fell, she rose again. And among the Volcari, rising was everything. One evening, the Alpha King watched her practice from a high platform. A general stood beside him. "She has heart," the general said, "but she is not one of us." "Not yet," the king replied, "but heart matters more than blood." Later that night, Lena sat with the king in the star room. They shared fruit and warm tea. "Do you miss Earth?" he asked. "I never really saw it," she said. "I was born on a space station near Jupiter. The slavers attacked when I was 7. The king nodded. "I was born during a war. I do not remember peace." She looked at him. "Then why do you build gardens?" "Because peace must be planted," he said. She thought about that for a long time. The next day, she asked him something no one expected. "I want to speak at your next council." The king paused. "Why?" "I want to be seen," she said. "Not just by you, by them. They need to know I'm not weak anymore." He studied her for a moment, then nodded once. "Then you will speak." At the Volcari War Council, generals and leaders stood in a great hall of black stone and firelight. They wore battle armor and spoke in strong voices. When Lena entered, the room grew quiet. Some eyes showed confusion. Others showed doubt. The Alpha King raised his hand. "She speaks with my permission. Listen." Lena stepped forward. Her voice was small at first, but it grew stronger with every word. "I know what you think, that I am just a human, just a slave, that I am nothing." She paused, looking at the crowd. "You're wrong." She touched her chest. "I was broken, yes, but now I stand. I train. I speak. Not because I am Volcari, but because I choose to live." Silence. Then one old warrior stepped forward. "Do you fight with blade or mind?" "Both," she said. The warrior nodded. "Then you are learning." After the meeting, many came to her with questions. Some tested her words. Some shared their own stories. That night, as she walked through the ship's halls, no one looked away. Some even nodded in respect. She had been seen. In her room, she stared at her reflection in the mirror. Not the scared girl from the auction, not the lost child from the cage. Someone new. Not a nameless slave. Not a silent shadow, but Lena. And far away, in a dark corner of the galaxy, the old slaver captain watched a screen showing her speech. He narrowed his eyes. She was supposed to die in silence, he said. A soldier beside him asked, "Should we act?" The captain smiled coldly. "Yes. Let's remind the Alpha King what humans are worth." The stars outside the Volcari warship were calm, but war was coming. Far away, the slaver captain known as Varlon stared at a dark screen. It showed Lena standing beside the Alpha King, speaking in front of the Volcari Council. Her voice was strong. Her eyes were steady. Varlon clenched his fist. "She was mine," he hissed. "A broken thing, worth nothing." Now that same girl stood as a symbol of hope, and worse, defiance. "She speaks for him," said one of his officers. "The Volcari listen." "Then we will silence her," Varlon growled, "and remind the galaxy what humans are." Back, On the Volcari ship, Lena walked through the hallways, unaware of the danger moving in the shadows. She was stronger now. Her steps were steady. Her head was high. She no longer wore the gray dress from the auction. Instead, she wore light armor made for her size, simple, protective, and marked with the Volcari flame crest. Each day, she trained with Vakar in the combat bay. "You've improved," he said one morning after a short match. "You think before you move now?" She smiled, wiping sweat from her brow. "I'm learning from the best." He gave a short nod. "You fight like someone who refuses to fall." "I already fell," she said. "Now I rise." That evening, the Alpha King joined her in the Star Room. "You spoke well at the council," he said. "I was nervous," she admitted, "but I had to say it." "They heard you." "That matters," he replied. Then his voice grew quiet. "But not everyone who heard you was a friend." Lena looked at him. "Varlon?" "Yes," he said. "His fleet was seen near the outer zone. What will he do?" "Try to take back what he thinks is his." She stood. "I'm not his. The Bay." Alpha King nodded. "I know, but he does not." That night, alarms rang across the Volcari ship. Red lights flashed. Soldiers rushed through the halls. Varlon had struck, but not with a fleet. With a shadow, an assassin slipped aboard the Volcari ship using stolen codes. Tall, fast, silent. His mission was simple. Find the girl. Kill her. Leave a message. He moved. Through the halls like smoke, avoiding cameras and guards. Lena had just left the training bay, holding a small data tablet. When she heard something behind her, she turned. Nothing. Just the sound of soft footsteps. Too soft. Her heart raced. She remembered the old fear, the cold feeling of danger near. She ran. The lights dimmed around her. Footsteps followed. Closer. Faster. She reached a hallway near the weapon vault and saw him, tall, dressed in black, eyes glowing, a blade in his hand. She froze. He moved to strike. Clang! A massive figure dropped between them. The Alpha King. His blade met the assassins in a flash of sparks. They fought without words. Blades slashed. Fists struck. The floor shook beneath their feet. The assassin was fast, but the Alpha King was faster, stronger, sharper. In seconds, the assassin was on the floor, gasping. "You will not touch her," the king said coldly. The assassin hissed. "She's only human." "She is mine," the king replied, "and she has already defeated you." He turned to Lena. "Because you warned me." She was shaking, but she met his eyes. "I remembered the sound, the way they walk. You trusted your memory. Your fear became your shield," he said. She looked at the fallen assassin. "He came for me?" "Yes." "And he failed." The next morning, the ship was quieter, but the tension had grown. The council met again. "They will attack soon," said General Kor. "They want the girl," said another. "We should hide her." Lena stood at the table. "I won't run." Some looked surprised. Others nodded with respect. "They want me silent," she said. "But I have a voice now, and I will use it." The Alpha King placed a hand on her shoulder. "She stands with me, and no one silences a Volcari ally." The slaver fleet arrived days later, 12 ships, heavily armed, painted with blood symbols. They sent a message. "Return the human girl," Varlon said, "or we take her." The Volcari did not respond with words. They prepared for war. Lena stood on the bridge, watching the enemy ships approach. "You don't have to be here," the Alpha King told her. "Yes, I do," she replied. "They sold me like nothing. They caged me, hurt others like me. I need to face them." He looked at her. She was no longer the girl from the auction. She was something else now, a flame that refused to go out. The battle began. Volcari warships met the slaver fleet in the cold of space. Fire lit up the sky. Cannons roared. Shields shattered. Lena watched from the strategy deck, standing beside the Alpha King. "They're fast," she said. "Yes," he replied, "but we are stronger." Still, the slavers had numbers. Their ships swarmed. Lena noticed something, a pattern in how they moved. "Wait," she said. "They're protecting one ship more than the others." The king looked. "That's their command ship," she said. "I remember the symbol. Varlon is on that one." The king turned to his generals. "Change target. Focus fire." The Volcari ships turned. 3 ships broke formation and dove toward the slaver command ship. It tried to run, too late. A blast hit the engine. Flames burst through the back. The ship spun, then exploded. Silence. The slaver fleet, leaderless, fell into chaos. Some ships tried to escape. The Volcari let them run. The message was clear. Back on the Volcari ship, Lena stood beside the king as the stars returned to peace. "You remembered their symbols," he said. "And I remembered who I used to be," she said. "Who is that?" She smiled faintly. "Someone who fights back." After the battle, the stars were quiet again. The slaver fleet was gone. The danger had passed. For now. But something deeper was happening inside the Volcari ship and inside Lena. She was changing. Every morning she woke before sunrise and went to the training hall. Vaker was already there waiting. "Ready to fall again?" he asked, tossing her a wooden practice sword. She caught it and smiled. "Ready to rise again." Their training was no longer about survival. It was about sharpening skill, growing control. Lena moved faster now. She learned to block, strike, and step with balance. She even surprised Vekar once with a quick move that sent his blade flying. He raised an eyebrow. "You're not bad." "I'm getting better," she said, breathless. "I want to keep going." Later, she walked through the garden chamber alone. She often came here now. It was her place to think, to breathe. The small tree she had first, touched weeks ago now, had more leaves. Tiny white flowers had begun to bloom. She reached out, ran her fingers gently across a petal. "I'm growing too," she whispered. That evening, the Alpha King invited her to the inner chamber, a room only trusted leaders entered. She entered carefully. He stood near a long table filled with ancient objects, maps, weapons, glowing stones. "You called for me?" she asked. "I did," he said. "I want you to see something." He handed her a flat metal disc. She turned it in her hand. It showed a glowing star and a symbol of fire. "This is the Volcari flame mark," he explained. "It is given to those who rise from loss. Not everyone earns it. You have." Her eyes widened. "Me? But I'm not Volcari." "You carry the fire now," he said. "Not in blood, but in spirit." She stared at the symbol. "Thank you. I don't know if I deserve it." "You do," he said. "You've come far, Lena, but now you must choose." "Choose what?" He looked into her eyes. "Do you wish to stay or leave?" The question hit her like a storm. "I can leave?" she asked quietly. "You are free," he said. "Truly free. If you wish, I will send you to any world you choose. A safe place, a quiet life. You've earned it." She stood in silence. She had dreamed of freedom for so long, of escaping the slavers, of being safe. But now that she had it, she didn't want to run. She looked around the chamber. She remembered the training hall, the garden, the council, and the battles, and she remembered the girl who had no name. "I don't want to leave," she said. The Alpha King nodded once. "Then stay, and walk with us." The next day, Lena received a small black bracelet with the flame symbol on it. When she wore it, guards saluted her. Soldiers stepped aside. Even elders showed respect. She was no longer just the human girl. She was Lena of the Flame. Weeks passed. One morning, a young Volcari approached her with a strange device. "What's this?" she asked. "It's a garden cube," the child said shyly. "You helped us, so we thought you'd want to grow something of your own." Lena took the cube gently. Inside was dark soil and a single green seed. "Thank you," she said softly. "I'll take care of it." She placed the cube in her room near the window. She watered it every day, spoke to it sometimes, and watched as, slowly, something green began to rise. One evening, the Alpha King invited her to join a peaceful mission. They were going to a border world to speak with another species, the Thare, who respected the Volcari but feared humans. "You will come as both," the king said, "and show them what has changed." Lena agreed. The journey was long, but the Thare welcomed them. Curious eyes followed her as she walked beside the Alpha King. One Thare leader asked, "Why bring a human to speak for the Volcari?" Before the king could answer, Lena stepped forward. "I speak for myself," she said. "But I walk beside him because I chose to. Not as a slave. Not as a symbol. As someone who rose." The Thare stared in silence. Then the leader bowed. "Then we will listen." On the way back, Lena stood at the viewing deck, watching the stars again. They listened. "To me," she said. "They saw your fire," the king replied. She turned to him. "You saved me at the auction," she said. "But I think I saved myself here." He gave a small nod. "You became someone again?" "No," she said softly. "I became who I was always meant to be." In the days that followed, Lena began helping others, rescue teams, translators, even teaching children who had survived slavery. She used her voice, her strength, her fire, to lift others. And when someone new was brought aboard, scared and shaking, Lena was the first to greet them. She would kneel, offer her hand, and say, "You're safe now, I know, I was you once." One night, she sat alone in the garden, looking at the stars again. She wasn't afraid of the dark anymore. She wasn't empty. She was no longer lost. She was Lena. The quiet of space hid the danger that was coming. Far away, in a dark corner of the galaxy, Varlon, the slaver captain, watched the reports coming from his spies. Lena was no longer a broken girl. She was strong, respected, a symbol of hope. Varlon clenched his fists. "She belongs to me," he growled. "I will take her back." His fleet gathered, heavy with weapons and dark intentions. Back on the Volcari ship, Lena felt a storm in her heart. She trained harder. She studied tactics. She prepared. She was no longer afraid. When the alarm sounded, she was ready. The slaver fleet appeared suddenly, cutting through space like a black shadow. 12 ships, large and armed, moved toward the Volcari. The Alpha King stood with his council. "They want Lena," he said. "They want to remind us what humans are." Lena stepped forward. "I'm not theirs, and I will not be taken." The king nodded. "Then we fight." The battle began. Lena stood beside the king in the strategy room, watching screens filled with the chaos of war. The slavers attacked fiercely. Their ships tried to break the Volcari line, but Lena noticed something. "They focus on one ship," she said. "The command ship." The king looked. "Varlon's ship." Lena's eyes burned with determination. "Then we end this." The Volcari changed their plan. A group of fast fighters moved to block the slavers. Lena helped direct the fleet, using knowledge she had learned from her past, weaknesses of the slaver ships, patterns of their attack. Her words guided the soldiers. The battle was fierce. Explosions lit the dark space. Metal screamed as ships crashed. The slaver command ship tried to escape, but the Volcari fired a powerful blast. The ship exploded into fire and smoke. The slaver fleet broke. Some fled. Others surrendered. Varlon's plan had failed. After the battle, Lena stood on the deck of the Volcari ship. The stars were quiet. She looked at the Alpha King. "We won," she said. "Yes," he said, "because you stood with us." She smiled. "I did not fight alone." But the war was not just in space. The slavers tried another plan. They sent secret agents to capture Lena. One night, as Lena walked alone, a shadow moved toward her. But she was ready. She fought with strength and skill. Her training had made her strong. The agents retreated. The Alpha King watched her with pride. "You are no longer broken," he said. "No," she replied. "I am rising." In the days after the battle, Lena helped the Volcari prepare for peace. She spoke to new allies. She taught others what it meant to be strong, not just in battle, but in spirit. She had become more than a survivor. She was a leader, and far away, the slaver captain Varlon knew he had lost more than a battle. He had lost a symbol. He had lost a flame that no darkness could ever kill. The great hall of the Volcari ship was full of light and sound. Leaders and warriors from many worlds had gathered. They came to hear a new story, one that had never been told before. At the center stood Lena. She was no longer the broken girl from the auction. She was tall and proud. Her armor shone with the flame symbol. Her eyes held strength and hope. The Alpha King stood beside her. His face was calm, but proud. The crowd was quiet as Lena began to speak. "I once was nothing, a broken girl sold to strangers, forgotten and afraid." She looked out at the crowd. "But here, among the Volcari, I found something new." Her voice grew stronger. "I found strength. I found hope. I found family." She told them of the battles fought, of the friends made, of the courage born from pain. The crowd listened, their faces changing from doubt to respect. The Alpha King stepped forward. "Lena is not just my ally," he said. "She is a symbol of what humanity can be, strong, brave, and free." He paused. "And today, I offer her a place at my side. Not as a slave, but as a leader." The crowd cheered. After the ceremony, Lena walked through the ship. People came to greet her. Warriors bowed. Children smiled. She felt something she had never known before. Belonging. That night, she sat with the Alpha King under the stars. "Did you ever think you would come this far?" he asked. "No," she said, "but I always hoped." He smiled. "You changed us all." She looked at the stars. "No one saw me before, but now I see myself." Days turned to weeks. Lena helped rebuild broken worlds. She taught others to rise. Her story spread across the galaxy. Humans were no longer seen as weak. They were seen as warriors of spirit. One day, a message arrived. It was from Earth, a small blue planet. A child asked, "Is it true? Can a broken girl become a queen?" Lena smiled and replied, "Yes, and you can too." Her journey had started as a silent cry in a crowded auction. Now, it was a roar heard by many. The girl who was once broken had changed a kingdom and a galaxy.